Hello, this is Mary Kay. I am going to be painting for the Chinese New Year. I pulled this snake off. I'm going to leave out the 2025 till the end. I've traced the snake and the tongue and the scales with water-soluble tracing paper. And the way that I'm going to do this painting today is to paint in the scales first with a little bit of gray paint, which I'm going to use neutral tint. So I'm going to keep these pretty light. I'm using my little brush. This is something that I haven't done. So these little scales, I've traced over them now. I'm not going to paint in the outsides of the scales, only in the snake part. So here I go. I want to see this one here doesn't have the tracing over the top of it, so it'll show me better where to go. So this definitely in here. So this is water-soluble tracing paper, and as I go over these lines, they're going to kind of dissolve. And when I end up painting over these, these will show up as the scales. This is going to be a little bit tedious here because this is fine work and I just have to take my time and get this part done. I'm going to go around the nose. And the little nostril. The place that I don't want to paint these shadows is the outside of the snake. I don't want to have a little line going around it out there. I'm going to go around the eye. I'll paint this in. This is even dark in here. These scales here. So far I've only loaded my brush once, but here I go again. There's all these little ones over here on the other side of the eye. I think this is going to look really good, even though this is so tedious. The good thing about a YouTube video is that you can just, speed it up and just have this part all done. So please feel free to do that. I see some darks on these out here, so I'm going to take back what I said about some of the outside. All right, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to put in more of these here. Kind of these little red areas with the flowers sort of blending over it. What I'm going to do once I get all this done is I'm going to wet the whole paper. So I do really have some different techniques that I'm going to use. I'm losing some of my lines here. I can't really see them because they're not that dark. So I'm just kind of putting them in. I think it won't matter so much when I get it all done. These are gonna I think read very scaly. Very snaky. And then down here. So I'm putting in these darks, these little shadows of all the scales. When we're painting them later, we can leave the highlights. We'll be leaving glints on some of the scales. And we're also going to be painting wet into wet quite a bit here. Putting in the background and I just love this snake. That was just the tiniest bit of neutral tint for this whole, for all of this down here. This is going to matte out, so I'm not worried too much about these circles down here. I do kind of want to put them over here in case I just matte here at the bottom. This is all blurry, the tongue is blurry, this is kind of blurry. There's a few more up here. Let's put a few more up here. That's going to be blurry. Okay, so that's the first step. Now what I'm going to do is, I don't want this to be pure white. I want this whole background to just have the slightest bit of color on it. And then I want to say something else that I just noticed. When I trace this, I very carefully put a dot there and here, so that if I need to retrace this and I want to put the 2025 in later, I can line it up perfectly. And now I'm moving this one back because it doesn't have the lines on top. Okay, so what I want to do is just wipe up this little bit of gray, and I want to make a very light red to kind of just put like a little salmon. That's permanent rose. I'm going to add yellow to it and just get this really super light, pale, pinkish red. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet my whole background, really, and my snake. I don't want to lose all my lines quite yet. Okay, so even just that pale color that I just put on, just that pale red, just basically just dirty water, dirty red water is enough for the background. I want it very pale, but just so that it's not white paper. That's really what I want, is just not white paper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these reds into the corners for these blossoms and then over this head of the snake there. So I'm going to make more of that same color with a darker pigment, more pigment. So this is, it's permanent rose and yellow. And I'm just gonna dot it in here like this. And this is all, it's wet into wet, so it's just gonna fade away. I'm gonna put these tree blossoms in, and at the end, when this is still damp, I'm going to put in I'm going to put some down here too. I'm going to put in the branches, but I want to put those in slightly damp also so they blur a little bit. Now this is all the same red. I'm going to do some flicking. Oh, I like the flicking. I'm going to put some just random flicks. It makes these little circles. Okay, and that's just all too much the same color, so I'm adding more yellow into that red to just change up some of this color. I don't want the same color everywhere. And then I'll make some that's more pink, and I'll just dab some of that in. So now there's more variety in these blossoms. Okay, I'm liking how that's looking. I'm going to just soften this edge here and maybe get some watermarks because I want that whole side. And I want this to go into the snake. Okay. I don't want my tongue to be right there. I want my tongue to have, my red tongue is gonna be on pretty much white paper. Now what I'm gonna do is mix up some of the green for the snake. The green for the snake is going to be yellow, clean yellow. I'm going to get rid of that pink that I've put in there. And I'm going to try a couple different blues with this. I want to see how it's going to work. I'm going to try some manganese and see what it does. It makes sort of that green. Okay, I'm gonna try, I'm liking that, though I do like that color. And then if I put in the Antwerp, what do I get? I get my classic green that I love so much. That's not really the color in it though. Maybe we'll try some indigo and see what it does. So I'm gonna go with this cerulean, or I'm sorry, manganese and the yellow. Okay, now I'm gonna wet my snake. Not the eye. Oh, not the eye is not green. have a bit of a dirty brush here more than anything. I can see this is okay. So there's the light green of the snake. And now I'm going to go in and put in more of the darks. I'm going to use my number 10 round now, and I'm going to do more manganese. It's going to be wet into wet now. So this is I'm going to try to paint these scales. See, so the shadow's already in there because of the earlier work that I did. I'm just really painting each scale sort of individually. Can leave glints in these scales. I'm adding indigo to my manganese, and then I added neutral tint. I want to get this shadow in here. This is going to be a disappearing edge. So I wipe my brush and then I add water to the outside of this. Oh, it's pretty. I think I should put in my eye. So my eye is going to be the red color. Whoa, the flying brush. So. I'm leaving lights in that. And now I'm going to try to add just some dark around the edge. Make it more dramatic. I'm going to add some dark right around the pupil. There's definitely a big highlight in the pupil, and there's some green in it. Oh, that's kind of a crazy little eye. I think I'm going to stick with it. Okay. This is still a little bit damp. I think it's a good time to go in with the branches. So I'm going to use the manganese blue with the tint, and what I'm going to try to do is paint in the branches where I think they connect these blossoms. And if it's a little damp, it's good. So I'll start it off the side. The branch has to get thinner as it goes farther away, and it skips. That's a little blur where it was wet. That's what I kind of wanted it to do more of. So I just kind of want it to catch some of these blossoms. Oh, did I just do that accidentally? No, I feel like I need to connect that somehow. I'll just have it connect out here too. Oh boy. Okay. And then down here a little bit. Okay. I can put in my red tongue right now since I did the eye. So it's going to be a bright red tongue, which is permanent rose and yellow. Makes this bright red tongue. I'm going to paint with a little bit of water into that. And I'm going to put a little bit of the purple, or it's not, I'm calling it purple, but it's really kind of blue, right into, oh, I made it thicker right there. Ah, now I've got a thick tongue. Well, I'll put some right here too. There's my tongue. Okay. Now I'm going to go back in with more of the manganese and the neutral tint. The neutral tint takes over this really fast. Okay. And I'm just going to keep painting in some lots more of these scales. I'm going to go underneath the tongue here, right in here. This is going to be a disappearing edge. So I put that first coat down and then I go in with a thirsty brush and just soften it to the edge here. I'm painting with water. See, what's great is that we've already done those scales, so we know where they are. Okay, I want to go in and put in the nostril. I'm going to make it a little darker. You know, it has a little bit of yellow in it, so I've got yellow. I can add yellow to that. Add a little to that nostril. Ha! And a little more of the blue. Kind of defining these scales around his face more, because that's where the focal point is, the eye and the tongue. I just need to just keep having fun and just be brave and just paint these in. This is going to take a while, so you might want to skip ahead again. Okay, so the eye went kind of away because it was kind of wet. So I'm going to get my bright red and paint all over those white spots, which are going to make that eye really bright, much brighter than the one in the kind of like it though. And then some more green right in the pupil. All right, I like that. Now I just need to keep going with more scales, especially back here and down here. It's just going to take a while. leave glints in these scales. We can see that they're individual scales. You can do more blue, you can do more green, you can make them whatever color you want. You can add paint with water. Just filling these in. This is fun. Okay, I'm going to put some real dark down here at the bottom. More just manganese up here. It's really kind of like almost like a jewel tone, this manganese blue. And then through here, I have to, it's sort of soft and yet it sort of just disappears. Let me paint with some water and see what happens. We just want this soft in here. A little darker right up here. Just looking to see where my darks are gonna go. So there's definitely darks on this side of the snake right here, this part of the neck. And then I'm gonna, this is just a very pale paint. Is that eye too bright? Shall I dab it once? That's better, I guess. I don't want to just belittle this forever and ever. I do want to put a few more speckles of blossoms up there. I'm just going to do it with, I'm either just going to dot them in or I can splatter them. Splatters, I think, a little, whoa, like that better. I tap some of those splatters, they'll soften up. And I think it needs just a few more darks in it, and then I can decide if I want to put in the 2025. So I'm really liking the manganese blue with the tiniest bit of neutral tint for my dark bluey green. So I think there's a little bit more right under here. I'm gonna take my brush and soften that here. Maybe add some more scale-like circles. Okay, that's darker like that. Down here, up here. I'm going to just paint with a little water in here and then add a little bit of red because I just do see the red spots showing up in the snake. I like those better. Let's see, right in here it needs to be just a little bit more defined. That so this is the top of the snake and then this is the underbelly of the snake. So just gonna put this like this and then like that so that it looks more like the underbelly there. And then I think it needs just a few more darks on his face. So that's the manganese and the, whoa. The manganese and the neutral tint, which really takes over. So there's this dark right in here. Try and add a little water to these and see if I can get them to kind of soften and put some more green in. I'm just making little circular . Like that. Well, this in here needs more. All these little guys out here need to be more, each one painted. Like I said, this just is taking me a while. I'm just going to darken this line. His top jaw and his bottom jaw. I like how the red kind of, we don't know if it's from the tree or if it's a snake. It's a watercolor, so we're not sure, but it's, you know, it makes our eyes interesting to look at. And then I think I'm going to go with the blue-green and just kind of fill in some more of these around this eye. really putting some of those in. Okay, I like that. I think just a few, put in a couple more of these shadows around his scales, around his mouth. This is exciting. Well, I think it needs to be a little bit blacker in the pupil area. Still leaving that glint of that green. Oh, you know what? I think it's done. And then you need to decide if you want to put 2025 in there. I think I'm going to leave this out because every 12 years, so it'd be 2025 minus 12 and 2025 plus 12. So that's it. Thank you for watching.